teleport into bot lane.
They're just going for the win right now. We don't need to listen to
to-
your shenanigans,
wait.
LS, as they are going for it here.
No way!
They're just delaying the back.
No!
Okay, Equalizer's gonna come down.
Are
They're just going for the autos here on the Nexus. Isn't gonna be enough, NUGURI. He's fighting now instead. He's just gotta auto the Nexus here. He has that shield.
Are
One
you
more,
kidding me?
And he's going to end the game. NUGURI with Nuclear.
The King is back for the 2022 season. We're watching NUGURI play top lane today. Back on DWG, Fiora versus Aatrox. And he's actually against HLE Sam D, who is an ADC, I believe, so he's off-roll. So either way, it's going to be interesting to see how he takes this matchup. We have Grasp Fiora versus Conqueror Aatrox. I would say that this is a Fiora-sided matchup, purely because of the fact that with the way that Fiora's W works, obviously Aatrox having 4 technical forms of disruption / CC, Fiora can target any one of those to use on the Aatrox, so it just kind of comes down to what she would like to use the best. With the Grasp setup, and even more curiously, we have the Tear and Bicky, so this Fiora isn't running out of mana anytime soon. With the Grasp setup on Fiora, whenever you're running this rune setup, what I've learned from playing Grasp Fiora myself is that you always just want to play for poke. So what you do, as we've seen NUGURI do level 1 here, is get a slow push on the wave. You start generating that Grasp proc off the wave, and then as you see when you auto, you get a lot of that health back, and the auto just still really hurts too. Hitting level 2 there, getting an advantage, hitting the W, so Aatrox can't return, spacing it out very nicely, getting those Grasps off. Fiora at like only missing 10%, Aatrox heading towards the 50% so far. As you can see, those Grasp procs are really, really meaty, and they accumulate very quickly. Fiora obviously not really that reliant on Conqueror. I feel like Fiora's kind of one of the only champions in the game that doesn't really need a keystone to succeed. Like obviously keystones help, but she's just not one of those, not one of those. She's one of those champions that can go basically not anything, but there are a lot of things that suit her. Some champions are very faceted towards like maybe 1 or 2 keystones and they have to run those or they're just useless. Whereas Fiora, I feel like can go multiple different options. We have the Demolish on the Fiora as well, so you're going to look to push in Aatrox here, getting that Demolish proc off there. Aatrox half HP, 6 CS to 19. Fiora hasn't missed one out of the first 3 waves here. So Fiora could have gone for a cheater recall here, but purely because of the fact that she's winning lane so hard and her HP is so high, and we probably don't really have a meaningful buy either. You don't have to take a cheater recall. Sometimes it's actually better to stay in lane if you're like really pressuring the other top laner, and just to keep pushing them out of the tower. Especially if your own jungler is going to be playing topside, as we see the Rammus clearing the topside crab here as well. So that's kind of what NUGURI is looking to do here. You don't necessarily have to take a cheater recall, as I said before, as he goes to W, the Aatrox's Q. Just wants to keep pushing the pressure. So 24 CS to 12, we've obviously got double here. So Fiora can W the second part of Aatrox's W and all parts of Aatrox's Q. So let's just see what she wants to do with the wave here. Obviously NUGURI, one of the smartest and best top laners in the world. He knows exactly what to do with his wave at all times. Even furthermore, just expanding on what I said before, with Fiora, this rune setup, she's going to scale regardless of what rune you're running. There is a little bit of damage that you're going to be missing not running that Conqueror. But for the most part, you can get away with going Grasp. And Fiora's laning phase, while it is still quite strong, Grasp can make it pretty much unbearable for a lot of champions. I remember playing it into a Renekton, which is obviously one of the hardest melee matchups for a lot of bruisers. And he literally can't do anything. Every time I'd Q onto him with Grasp, I'd just wait for a Vital and obviously walk out into the fog if I needed the Vital reset. And Aatrox, the Renekton literally couldn't trade back onto me. So very, very oppressive. You're getting ahead, especially with the setup where it looks like he can just keep spamming these Qs. He's not missing pretty much any mana. I know that Fiora does have a fair bit of mana issues in the start of the game, but we're definitely going to be having these game. We also have, what I was going to say, I think I saw like in the thumbnail of this, I haven't really skipped ahead because I kind of like doing this in a sense where I can watch it with you guys and I'm kind of commentating live. I'm not going to be like watching it back with knowledge of the game. We have 41 CS to 18. In the thumbnail of this video, he had a really weird build. So I don't know if he actually builds the thumbnail items, but either way, I'm curious to see because I haven't seen any Fioras. Like I like to think I'm pretty in tune with most of the high elo players that are on their one-trick champions. So the item choice in the thumbnail was very curious. Can't wait to see if this is actually what's going on here. We do have TP on either side of the Aatrox and Fiora, which is very interesting. Obviously at the moment, it's a very lethal summoner setup. A lot of champions like to go. Even Fiora, I've seen most Fioras probably take Ignite here lately. Not so much. So she could W pretty much anything here as we're looking pretty spicy. Ooh, maybe she was predicting Aatrox there. And we do see her start to fall to... So once the Conqueror is ramped up on the other champions, it does start to beat the Grasp out on Fiora. So you do want to start taking those kind of like... Ooh, this could get close. Flash. Oh. I was going to say, once you see that Conqueror ramp up, you do see it start to lose Aatrox flashes as well. Maybe they pick it up here either way. Fiora almost dying to an autofill. Monka. W up, Rammus picks up the kill. Lovely. Aatrox does have the TP, so he won't miss out too much as they go to push the wave back in as well. I really want to see what item Fiora elects for here first. I want to say, just with tier and kind of like this rune setup, he'll be going for the Sundra. But I don't really know kind of like how... Because obviously when you select an item / rune, like whichever way, you're going to be wanting to play a champion a certain way, and we're just going to be seeing him pick up the 156 stack tier, the Sheen into double longsword, so we're going Sundra, it appears. Not something that I've seen a whole lot on Fiora, but it can definitely work. As I said before, not only is Fiora not keystone dependent, but she can definitely go a bunch of different mythics as well, so... I know Potent, one of the highest elo, or not probably the highest elo, one-trick pony that plays Fiora in EU West. He actually builds Stridebreaker more than anything, and I know it's obviously very common for Fiora to be going Gore Drinker. Stridebreaker and Bork is the build that Potent goes, so as I said, it's always really interesting to see kind of like where or how he'll make this work, and what items he's going to choose for it, especially because his rune setup's already a bit weird, and his tier start, but he's probably going to be going into the Muramana later on. I would assume. Sundra and Muramana does sound pretty painful, but if you're not having... I feel like maybe a longsword pickaxe start into the lane would probably hurt a fair bit more, so we're going to see him still getting those procs up with the grasp. Rammus coming in for another gank here. Fiora's ult still down for another 10 seconds, whereas Aatrox has his up. Picking up another lovely little kill. Aatrox doesn't have the TP here, so we're going to start to look to get those Demolish procs off and the snowball started. Fiora obviously has insane tower take after... I think she got buffed like 6 consecutive patches in a row. Not in a row, but... She got 6 buffs in a row without getting a nerf, if that makes sense. And I don't think she still had a nerf to this day. So we have, one of the last buffs she got was where she can use her E and Q on the tower, which makes her Shred Towers probably one of the fastest out of any champion. Alongside the Demolish, she is a formidable force in the side lane. Aatrox picking up the Tabby, obviously very smart to nullify some of Fiora's damage, but Fiora also does true damage with her Q, so... not as effective as most, but the Boots 2 movement speed really does help considering Fiora doesn't have Boots at all. And she's opted to go straight for a Mythic, so not going into any other components. We're going straight into straight to the Sundra. 4-1, but the Viego did pick up the Dragon, and he's the only kill in the enemy team. Does look like the Ara is winning mid pretty hard as well, but we do have an even lane in bot lane, so this is still anybody's game. 1-0-1 on the Fiora side, up 18 CS. We're going to look to see how these ganks have paid off. Fiora can pick it up and kind of push some more out of the top side. So we do have the wave coming in here, and he kind of, so far, he actually hasn't let the wave come back into him at all, as he uses the Q movement speed really nicely there to dodge the Aatrox's Q2. We W the Aatrox's passive auto, E once. I do really like, as well, what I noticed with a lot of Fioras is they'll E once and then use the movement speed slow to like kind of outspace the enemy champion. That's something that I see in a lot of like really high elo / good Fiora one tricks. Is they use that E1 really effectively. I feel like a lot of people just use it as an animation cancel. Not Nuguri. He's a bit too mechanical for that. Still pushing the wave in pretty hard though. Fiora's pretty painful to watch when it comes to the side of wave clear. She just has to spam all her spells. Maybe that's why he chose tier. We're up 29 CS now. Let's see if Rammus, because we have the wave pushed into the Aatrox, this could be a good key window to taking out the Herald. Obviously, you can split the map open pretty effectively. As Silas is dead for the 3rd time this game as he TB's back mid lane here. I also think as well, with Fiora and her scaling, I just don't know if, like, as I said, any Mythic or Keystone is suited. I'm going to be curious to see how this build scales. Obviously, Muramana scales really, really well, basically on any champion that can build it. So I want to see kind of what sort of damage she's dishing out, because I haven't seen this build before. It's going to be really interesting. But I do think Fiora is at such an item advantage where she probably can fight Aatrox at basically any point of the game now. Aatrox does get outscaled by a fair few bruises. The only thing that was interesting to me here is that they don't really have a way to deal with Aatrox's healing until Fiora's going to pick up that Executioner's Calling. I'm sure at some stage. It's very, very good into their comp as well. All of the in the red top side, so Viego, Aatrox, and Silas, all are very healing dependent. So I feel like it would be a good buy regardless. Maybe that's the reason he didn't go Ignite, because he knew he was going to be building Executioner's Calling regardless. Pretty smart. Good foresight there. As we see, we're looking to get this Demolish proc off here. Picks up. No? Wait, he didn't auto. Did he make a mistake? I'm not really sure what happened there, actually. She can W this. Okay, he's just going for a run, really. Ooh, damage. Hello. Ooh, as we trade 1 for 1. Very kind of like a pretty sketchy little fight there. Obviously kind of like half under the tower. We see a pretty spicy 2v2 in the bot lane as well. Fiora's dead, so I kind of want to see what happens here. Ahri roaming up as well. Love that. This is a pretty big mid-gap game, actually. Skip ahead. Fiora picking up the Divine Sunderer. We have the Tear, Longsword, and her boots finally coming. So she's obviously gone for the Resolve and Inspiration because of the Bickies as well. So far we have the Sunderer completed. We're going to go mid here because Ahri is obviously still top lane. Very smart, applying pressure to another lane in the map while Silas is still dealing with top lane as well. The Dragon is also up too, so him rotating down here is quite smart, and he can take more advantage of his Demolish Rune by getting some more of these plates while Ahri resets and comes back to her lane. I don't know what he goes next though. That's the thing, because this build is so weird. I would assume he just goes into Executioner's Calling here. Leaves this other way for Ahri. It's obviously pretty important to kind of keep your Ahri in the game still, so you don't want to be taking too many resources when you're over to someone else's lane. Aatrox looked like he warded there, but we're going to see if he's able to survive this here. Still pretty greedy play. Maybe he goes for the E over the wall here, but Rammus is here to taunt under the tower, so Aatrox will fall again. Very nice. We've got a free lane for this Fiora, being played towards very heavily. I mean, if I was your jungler, which you don't really want to see because I'd be off-roll, but if I was your jungler, I'd be playing towards NUGURI as well. 3-2 for the Silas, 1-0 on the Leona. Looking a little bit blue-sided at the moment, but I'm curious to see how the rest of the game plays out, as there's a bit of a fight happening bot. The Ezreal falls to the Zeri Leona, so bot lane's definitely one of their conditions, as the Silas dies to Rammus and Ahri again. This Rammus is gank king. He's just in every lane all the time, and he's still up in farm. Aatrox back alive, gonna come and answer the top lane. Fiora might look to take the buff here, yep. Very good, taking some more resources off the Viego, who starts to look to path this way. I think he had just taken Ahri's clone or soul or form, or whatever you call it. Take the red buff there. I am still like really wanting a bit of a showcase on how this build works and how much damage he's going to start to do. Because I feel like, as I said before, Fiora can just build anything and still do damage. All these heals are pretty meaty. She looks to be like quite tanky too. Look, like he's just playing so aggressively. Like I was like, dude, there's just no way you turn this when the last vital is on the tower side. Aatrox picks up the kill on the Fiora, so obviously the extended trades here, or the extended trading patterns, are much more favorable on the Conqueror side. Aatrox, once he gets his ult and those Conqueror stacked, he's going to be pretty hard to take down without anti-heal. We have the Caulfield's Warhammer Longsword picked up, so we're going straight into the Mirror Mana, it would seem. Fiora TP's back top to answer the wave. Level 10 to level 10. Let's see what he's going to do now. Any more int tests, any more limit tests? Game's still definitely not over at all. Their bot side, as well as a couple of pressure points the Aatrox has picked up. Their bot side's still really ahead, so that's someone they can play towards for sure. Pushing out another wave here. 124 CS, 126 CS to Fiora. Pushing out the top lane again. Aatrox should be finished Gold Drinker now though. Or no, he's just picked up... Oh, because he went Boots 2 first. That offsets his Mythic by a fair bit. The red buff though is going to be pretty hard to deal with, because if Aatrox autos you, it's actually pretty hard to get out of his spells. Damn, those Qs hurt. That was a lot of damage. Still just playing so aggressively though. Like, just up in his face permanently, just always fighting. Like, I watch this stuff and I'm like, should I just be like headbutting everyone all the time, regardless of how ahead I am, or should I be playing smart? Because I'm obviously not like a world-class player like NUGURI who can just make anything work, but it just seems like a lot of the more Asian games I watch, the more Chinese and Korean games that I watch, it just seems like they just permanently are like in lane fighting all the time. Like, it's almost like an extended laning phase. Alright. As Fiora takes down the Aatrox. This is actually a pretty big death, because there's a fight happening bot lane, and Fiora has a Demolish up, so she's going to take down his tower pretty quickly. 600, that's like 1,000 gold right there, that one play, because Aatrox dies after the gold reset, and then the tower also falls to Demolish. So Fiora's about to finish her Mirror Mana here as well. The base almost being broken. Very big payoff from the Rammus playing topside so heavily. Rammus is also 3-1 and 7, so he's played the game really well so far too. That's like almost 100% kill participation. Mirror Mana, Merc Treads. Merc Treads is pretty interesting to me. Obviously well, I don't know how much value it really gives against Zeri, because she's obviously going like that weird like on-hit build with a Titanic and Trinity Force, and then the Silas CC, Leona CC, Viego CC. But there's so much like AD damage too, so I guess I'm not really sure. Merc Treads obviously is the play here apparently. We're going to take our top side. Rammus is pathing towards the bottom side of the jungle, so guys, it's always really important to note where your jungle is pathing so you don't starve them of resources. Obviously, it's a big inefficiency of time spending if your jungle is pathing topside but you're taking their camps. You should be going straight to the lane or going to take the enemy camps in the topside jungle. Don't take your jungler's camps if they're pathing towards them. If they're pathing towards bot lane, respawn timers on jungle camps are so short at the moment. It's definitely not a bad idea to be taking camps off cooldown if you can. just because of the fact, oh, we see a bit of a weird particle bug there. Just because obviously by the time the junglers path back topside, they'll probably be respawned again. It's interesting to me that this Fiora has no wave clear yet. So obviously one of Fiora's biggest shortcomings is that she has no wave clear. Obviously then auto attack resets in her Q. But an early, like I'd say Iron Spike Whip really helps rectify that, or like Gore Drinker, as Aatrox finally finishes his Gore Drinker. So it's interesting to me he hasn't picked up anything, but his CS per minute's still really, really good. He must have attack speed here as well, because his auto attacks are really fast, even though he doesn't have precision or Trinity Force or any attack speed items. We're going to be still split pushing. We have 5. Aatrox is dead, but 4 on the map, all missing. We spot 2 in the mid lane here, Leona, and I think that's the Silas. Yeah, there should be 2 more as well. So Zeri and Viego both missing. You see Zeri having to answer top lane. Get that Demolish Puck. We'll just back off a little bit here. Oh, that damage. That Q did a lot of damage. Zeri ults. Fiora gets out scot-free. Are we not taking the dragon? No, Rammus based. Skip ahead, see what Fiora looks to do. Still going to be pressuring the top lane here. Leona kind of scouting around, putting some vision down. And she is spotted by the Zeri. But there's 3 converging on this Zeri here, so this is pretty sketchy. Zeri getting away with the Fiora ult. It's one of her big power budget, or big, let's say, points of power there down, because Zeri just runs away with it. If you can play this really well, he wins, but I just don't know. Yeah, okay, a bit too much. We do take the dragon for that side though. Pretty good because we get the soul condition delayed off the side of the red team for a while anyway. Obviously they have the 2 dragons already, so picking up a 3rd would have been pretty close to getting those 4th dragon. We're going to wait for Fiora to respawn. We're going into the Executioner's Calling now, which will probably build into, I don't know if he's going to finish the item or he's just going to go into some other random item. Either way, starting to look for this to heat up a little bit. Fiora going back to the bottom lane. We obviously don't have anything left for us in the top side of the map other than the inhibitor tower. So there is still gold to be gotten. Aatrox is obviously on the side lane. I feel like if it was Aatrox Viego, he could probably 2v1. Now that he has the Executioner's Calling. If he ults, I'd say probably the Aatrox, just because he's weaker, and gets the Aatrox kill before, he'd probably be able to 2v1, I would say. Just because his CS per minute's like, well, 60, what is he, 56 CS ahead, which is almost like 10 waves of farm, which Aatrox can't really, unless he just starts taking jungle camps off repeat. But that's 10 CS per minute on the side of the Fiora. One thing I've noticed so far is that it seems like he just gravitates towards, he goes towards a lane basically every single time that he comes out of the base. And he's not scared to fight at all. He's just fighting permanently. Holy whoa, damage. Whoa, hey, hang on a second. Literally like one-shots this Aatrox. What damage is this? Oh my god. What? Like it ain't no thing, just kills both of them like that. Holy, I mean 2 level advantage. We need to watch this again. I just didn't, all of a sudden Aatrox was just dead. So like this is the last time you see Fiora. So she's like here, she's about half HP. Aatrox get E'd for 200 damage, and then neck min they both die. So, ooh, very nice. I actually noticed a Q into auto there, which the Q, EQ into auto cancel there was really nice. And she's just full HP, just like that, both fall. Absolutely melted, and this build obviously giving a fair bit of durability because of the way that Sundra works. Damn, this could be the meta. Grasp as well, that's kind of like not the damage you expect to see out of Grasp. Grasp is kind of more renowned for getting you through those hard laning phases, or playing pokey through those laning phases, because Resolve's obviously not one of the better scaling like rune setups you could go. So I didn't really expect him to do that much damage, to be honest, but that was kind of nuts. Just goes to show the power of the Mirror Mana, along with the Sundra as well as Zerius just being annoying. We do get the tower into the inhibitor there because we have the Herald up, but the whole map is looking a little bit more open now. 21 to 13, so a little bit more in favor of the blue side. It was very in favor of the red, oh, not very, but it was getting close to being in favor of the red side. But then NUGURI just decided to destroy both the Aatrox and Viego and break the bottom side of the map open. So we're going to see what he does with his macro now. Fiora does have the TP, so he could look to either push in the bottom lane repeatedly and then TP to the Baron when they send probably at least 2. Because obviously, as they've just seen, Fiora can 2v1 very, very easily. They'd want to be sending more people to answer her than just the Aatrox. I think Leona's hard engaging on this Ezreal here. Very close to dying, and the Zeri will fall to the Ezreal burn. Leona will get one shot by the Fiora. Okay. Man, she just hurts so much. This build's so interesting. Going straight into the Kempunk, is it called Kempunk Chainsword? I think it's called that. This build's crazy. The 2 main threats are off the map, so we're going to look to do Baron here. 6-3 and 1 Zeri falls. Ezreal kited her back really, really well. We do need to deal with this Viego though. We don't really want a 50-50. The game's in a pretty favourable spot. Viego just gets one shot, lovely. I was going to say, the game's in a pretty favourable spot for the blue team. The last thing you want to do when the game is pretty much, like I'd say like a 70-30 in this case, is to go for like a flip play. You don't have to just because you're so ahead. Like going for a 50-50 play when you're the ahead team is actually a bad idea because it just gives the enemy like a probably bigger opening than is necessary. Wait, who fell? Oh, it was Silas. Sorry. I thought it was Viego. They kind of look the same. My bad. It was Silas. Silas is obviously very behind 1 and 7. Fiora just going to go and fight. Why not? Ooh, that Renata. We do get it. Ooh, we get the revive from the Renata. Lovely. Alright, Fiora's full HP. Lovely. He actually died in that fight, technically, and comes back into the Baron Pit full HP. Nice. Sorry, I did think that was Silas. Bit of a misspeak there. 9, 3, and 5 on the side of the Fiora. We see her input in fights is very vital. Get it, vital, because it's Fiora. We're going to go push out the top side of the map now. Aatrox going to answer that wave. Level 13 to level 16. Fiora almost probably at that 9 CS mark. Aatrox still about a 50 CS deficit. He was played against pretty heavily this game though, and I know he's off roll as well, so even harder. She hasn't even altered yet, right? She's just, yeah, okay. And Aatrox falls. So we do know with the Kempunk Chainsword that it gives 60% once they're below 50% HP, I think. So finishing this item is actually a lot better than what a lot of people think because obviously it's just a more effective item than the Executioner's Calling. So not a bad idea to finish. Skip ahead, Fiora's just farming. I think we are pushing for the end here though. Alright, I think that's going to be, yeah, that looks to be GG. If you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like and a subscription if you enjoy this type of content. I missed you guys. I didn't make a video for a few days, so it was always good to see you. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.